Hey! Very good. I like the background as well. Very swish.
Oh, I'll have to get rid of that. I can't hear you.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. I wasn't sure of the dress code, so
that's fine.
I thought I would go with X-Lite and Vision Track.
Excellent. Yeah, we're not posh here, man. Don't you worry about that. You don't need to be turning up in a shirt and tie. Are you all right if we just crack straight on, or do you want to have a wee bit of a chit-chat? Or
absolutely, yeah, no, fine. Just crack on, batter on.
Right. Let's crack on with it then.
How do you like your fish? Batter on.
Batter on, very good, very good. Folks, welcome to this week's episode. And we've got Martin from the Helmet Inspection Company. How you doing, Martin?
I'm all good. Nevad, Brucey. Sit like yourself.
Now, anyone that's not from where we're from, Martin's from sort of my neck of the woods up in the northeast of Scotland. So, you might have heard me saying it in some of the vids. It's just local dialect, basically. It's just a way of saying hello. So, where are you at just now then? You're not up northeast now, are you?
Yeah, I am. I'm in Aberdeen.
You're Aberdeen just now? Oh,
yeah,
right, okay.
Yeah, just in the outskirts of Aberdeen.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's looking lovely behind you. It's looking really good there.
It's good. Yeah, the weather's picked up dramatically just in the last 20 minutes, Bruce. Yeah.
Is it really snow and like ice and everything up there just now?
It's shit, Bruce. I have to say it's been so. Maybe about 2 weekends ago, I was sat out in the back garden in the deck chair, getting my pale white face all burnt. And following week, we've got a couple of inches of snow.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, but it can change just like that, though. You know, well, as you probably know.
Oh, my video is going all a bit weird. I might change my video up from the GoPro to the FaceTime one. Stand by 2 seconds. Let me just change this.
I thought I was watching Max Headroom.
It looks a bit like that, doesn't it? It's all going weird.
Yeah. The younger generation won't know what we're talking about.
I know, yeah. Everyone else will just be going, what? Right, there we go. How's that?
Perfect. Yeah.
Right, beautiful. I'll tell you what it might be is I'm currently trying to render some 360 files, and I have been since, what day is it now? This is Thursday, isn't it? Yeah. Monday morning, I started rendering the files, and we're now Thursday. And it's my computer just seems to be grinding to a halt. I mean, it is heavy going, these 360, and I've set it on the absolute highest bit rate possible to try and get the best
quality
sort of render. But God, it's just, and on top of that, I've been trying to edit the video for tomorrow as well, and it's the computer's just gone, nah, I've had enough.
Yeah, well, I had the same issues. I was using my Scottish traditions were that every penny was a prisoner. You know, every pound was a prisoner.
Aye.
And so I was running an old Mac desktop, and I was using that for doing all my video editing and rendering and all of that stuff. And you know, it was taking. I mean, I don't do videos anywhere near the length of duration that you do.
Aye.
And it was taking forever, you know, and I was thinking, you know what, life's too short. You know, I can't get on with a job whilst I'm rendering stuff. So, and typically if you went away at your bed and left it in the morning, you came down, it would be goosed. Mm-hmm. So
I've had that.
So I upgraded my computer and I bought a Mac Mini. Just the wee box, right?
Yeah.
But I got one with the new, what's called the M1 silicon chip.
Yeah.
Boom. It eats up render jobs for breakfast, honestly. Well, and they're so much cheaper than the big desktop machines as well. So,
do you know what? I've been eyeing up that new Mac Studios come out, hasn't it? And I was eyeing that up. Yeah. And then obviously you play the game, don't you, where you max everything out on the computer and just, right, I'll have the biggest memory, the fastest processor, everything. It was coming to like $6 and a bit grand just for the computer. You still had to buy a mouse, a keyboard and a screen. So it ended up being $8.5 grand. And I was just like, That's insane. I can't justify that. It's ridiculous. Well, I haven't got it, but I can't justify it.
That's a second bike, isn't it? You know.
Well, it pretty much is. Yeah. So now what I'm thinking is, I've got a 2015. This is absolutely bugger all to do with why you're here, folks. But we will get to that. Don't worry. I've got a MacBook Pro 2015 MacBook Pro, and but the problem with that is it's now so old I can't run the latest edition of Final Cut on it. So I normally I use these little external SSD drives, so I can edit away on it at home and then take the SSD drive with me, and if I go away on a trip I can save files on there and do some editing if I need to. But now because the MacBook's so old, it won't let me edit like from the newer Final Cut that I have on the big desktop onto the laptop. So I'm thinking I'm probably just I'll sell both of them, like the desktop Mac and the MacBook Pro, and then just buy the sort of all singing, all dancing MacBook Pro.
Well, just make sure you get the one with the M1 chip
with the
in
M1,
it. Or there might even be an M2 now, I don't know. But, I mean, the rendering went from 4 hours to 30 minutes.
Gee whiz, really?
Oh, no, it's just amazing. Absolutely. I was speaking to Chopsy about this the other day as well. And, God, I hate it. Listen to me just name-checking you guys.
What a vlog of friends. That's one of the main reasons for me, is because this podcast, they're like 2 to 3 hours in length, and to render that takes, it can take all day, and I've had some that go like all day and all night, literally like a 15-hour render. Normally I can get it out in 5 or 6 hour render, but that's an insane length of time, especially when you've got other stuff to be doing. So in my head, it justifies getting a wee loan.
I bet your Brew Time followers are really, really loving this one so far.
I know. Yeah, you're tuned in for the helmet inspection, and we're chatting about Macs. Anyway, right. So, shall we get back on course then, Martin? So
let's do that.
Martin, what is the helmet inspection company? What's it all about? Oh, in fact, I tell you what. Sorry.
Yes.
Do you have a drink of choice? Because
what have you got there, Bruce?
Oh, good man. Is that Hazy Jane?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. Not sponsored, by the way. Not sponsored.
No, not sponsored either. No.
If only, eh? Right.
Cheers. Slange.
Here's to your health. Oh, beautiful. It just wets the whistle and, keeps the throat lubricated.
I love that Hazy Jane, those hazy IPAs.
Yeah.
But
they're nice.
They're pretty strong, though.
Are they? Oh, 5%.
Oh, no, I thought it was more than that.
I wonder 5% will do me.
I thought it was more than that.
Have you seen the podcast I did a couple of weeks ago with the husband and wife couple, Sean and Faye, Tins on Tour?
Yeah. I started to watch it. I didn't finish it.
I just feel less of a man now. Like the amount he was putting back. I think even Faye was drinking me under the table. But the amount Sean drinks is phenomenal.
Well, look at, I was watching something with you, TMF, and Chopsy and Richie Vida.
Uh-huh.
And you were all, I think Chopsy was on the cider and Richie Vida was on the Glenmorangie.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one when he was steaming? He got COVID. He got COVID literally a few hours before we did the podcast.
Yeah.
And he just got drunk to try and make himself feel better. By the end of it, he can't remember the end of the podcast.
Well, I was going to say, he was cracking through them pretty quickly,
Yeah, it's
like a nerves thing. I'm the same. So, I used to be like that when I was a kid.
Aye.
And chatting up girls, and I used to get really nervous about it when we were out in clubs. So what I'd do is I'd just go away and get tanked up before I went out.
Yeah.
And I'd just make a complete tit of myself.
My mates used to wet themselves at uni because I would just be the one stood in the corner, not moving to any of the music. I'd just be stood in the corner, knocking beers back. And then literally you just hit that point, don't you, when, all right, start getting into this. And then that was it. Once I was on the dance floor, that was me for the rest of the night. Done.
Yeah. Bravado.
Aye, that's it.
That's
Yeah, thinking I had the best timing in the world. No. Anyway, right, Martin, helmet inspection company.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Yeah. So what do? Well, obviously we test motorcycle helmets. Why do we do that? Well, I mean, just taking a step back. But I'm a biker, and I know how much a decent helmet costs. And I'd bought a couple of years ago. I'd bought a new Slowey NXR, and I was out at Braemar actually. And I don't know if you remember, there's the Hungry Highlander there, where in the summertime, in Braemar, summertime, you've got all of the bikers coming in over Glen Shee, and then the other ones coming out from Aberdeen. So it just seems to be a point where all the bikers congregate. So I stopped there. I thought, I'll get a crack here with a couple of lads, and the wee car park there was so busy. I didn't really have much space to park the bike, so I squeezed in. Took my lid off and I thought, well, all right, well, just for this once, I'll put it on the indicator stock,
Yeah, and see where this is going.
Just straight away, I was just repaid back with that level of stupidity, But we'll all do it, And I took the helmet into the bike shop, local bike shop. They had a Slowey tech. I said, could you, I've dropped it just from maybe waist height. Can you just check it for me, please? He had a look at it, skull liner out and all of that, and had a look at it to the inside, had a look at it to the outside. Yeah, it should be fine. So it was just the should be bit that wasn't really hitting it for me. I spent a long time after that just trying to research what exactly is. If I send this lid off to Slowey, what are they actually going to do? And I just couldn't find anything to substantiate what the test program existed of. So anyway, a year later, I think it was, so it must have been about 3 years ago actually, because a year later we had our COVID come along and we went into our first lockdown. And my day job, I was self-employed, and all my clients just, the work just fell off a cliff edge.
What was it you did?
I was, so I did sales consultancy. So it was just for oil and gas service companies. And I was also doing a bit of sales recruitment as well. And all of that just fell off a cliff edge overnight. I had customers who I'd been working with for some time. I was working on projects for them, and they just stopped paying me. So, it was a shitstorm, really. It was a horrible time for a lot really uncertain time, So I had a couple of paths that I was chasing, and the helmet inspection company was one of them. And so I was just trying to validate the idea and the technology. And through, as you know, I'm on LinkedIn quite a bit. And one of my connections on LinkedIn, when I was speaking with him, I was explaining to him what I was thinking about doing. He said, "Oh, go and speak to this guy at Loughborough University, Professor John Tyrer. He's a world-renowned expert on composite material testing. They do it on lifeboats, submarines, spacecraft, human bones, eyeballs, all of that sort of thing." So I got an introduction to John, and I started chatting away to him about my idea, and he said, we've been doing that for years. So, okay, so why can't I find anything online about it? We just deal with the big industrial stuff. So, ships and things like ship hulls and things like that, So I said, if I could put together a business model that made sense, would you be willing to come in on board with this company? And And he said, yeah, well, he's a biker as well, of course. He's got 2 Triumphs.
All right.
And so what we've done is we've partnered, if you like, with his business, which he's got was a spin out from the university. And he actually, the technology that we use, he actually co-invented it 35 years ago.
Blimey.
So, yeah, so in terms of finding the right guy for the job,
he's your man.
He's definitely our guy, you know. So he's our technical director. I then attracted a couple of local investors who are my advisors as well. Mm-hmm. And so if you hear some slurping and licking and stuff like that going on in the background, Bruce, that's my dog drinking out of our bowl. That's nothing else, okay?
No worries. Just as you said dog, mine started barking downstairs. So if you hear a dog barking, it's probably mine. Well, we'll get all sorts of interruptions, so we'll work through it. So yeah, that was. I went and put together a business plan. I researched the market size for motorcyclists initially, because that's the thing that I'm most passionate about, really. And I got the investment and spent some time developing a website so that there's back office functionality, so that the engineers can then scan in helmets as they arrive, and we can update the customers by email and text and produce invoices and all of that stuff, you know. Gotcha. So then we seem to be spending a lot of time playing with our toy, if you like, and not getting on and actually launching the business. Yeah. So one of our finance director said, right, it's the 1st of July. Okay, guys. What, we're going to launch on the 1st of July? Yeah. This is only a matter of weeks away, you know? Yeah.
Okay, 1st of July it is then. So that's what we did. And it's been a real roller coaster. I know that's a real cliche, but
it's been a heck of a time to start a new business. I'll tell you that as well. You know, over the last few years. Wow.
It's funny you should say that, Bruce, because one of the other things that has happened to us recently is that we got shortlisted for a business startup award, national business startup award, and we've been shortlisted in the innovation category. And I was reading all of the information behind the awards, and there's something like 200,000 startups in the UK since COVID came along.
Wow, seriously?
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. And I think a lot of people have been, you know, oil and gas industry is quite bad for it. You know, when the price of oil goes up, it's all hands to the deck, and you know, silly wages, daft day rates start coming into play. But as soon as the price of oil goes down for any length of time, you just get dumped out onto the market.
Yeah. My dad was oil and gas, so yeah, we got a lot of experience of that. Feast and famine, isn't it?
Yeah. So the same thing basically happened to the entire country, the entire world. The entire world.
So mate, I just need to go and give my dog a boot in the arse. Is that all right? I'll be 2 seconds. Sorry, mate. We'll edit this bit out. Don't worry.
No worries, Si.
So essentially then, like from a customer's point of view, what service does the helmet inspection company provide to, like, say me, if I drop my lid, what do I do?
Yeah, so if you've dropped your lid, and if you're if you're interested to find out what the structural integrity is, and if you want to find out if that helmet is still safe to continue to use, or whether it's time to go shopping for a new one, book an inspection on our website. It's a fairly straightforward process. And then once the helmet arrives with us, it'll be booked in. You'll get an email to say, we've got it. And then the inspection, is it the inspection itself that you're interested in? Yeah,
just like what service does the company provide to Joe Blog public?
So what it is we're doing a structural test on the outer shell of the helmet, right?
Yep.
And that's usually about 5 to 7 different points on the helmet that we'll do the inspection on, so we get full coverage. And the way that we do this is that we use a process called shearography. Yeah, I'd never heard of it before either until I started to validate it as a suitable technology.
Right.
But basically, what we're doing is we create a 3D hologram in real time using a laser, and it's called a interferometer. Sorry, yes, I'm not. You can guess I'm not the technical guy, right? So we use an interferometer. Easy for you to say. And I'm glad we're doing this bit right at the beginning before we've had some beers.
3 beers down, yeah.
Yeah.
Magic. A pointless shiny thing. Magic happens.
That's it. Aye. And there's a big, massive light show. No, there's not. And then what we're doing is at each point we apply a small amount of heat to the shell of the helmet. So then you've got the coefficient of thermal expansion kicks in, right? I'm sure you were paying attention in your physics class.
I was, yeah.
We were smoking up at the back of our physics class. So it shows you how much attention I paid. So we apply heat, and what happens is as that heat starts to leave the helmet, if there's any matrix splits anywhere in that shell at all. If there's cracks on the helmet, they just show up on our TV screen, very similar to looking at a broken bone on an X-ray.
Right.
I think it's probably the simplest way that I can explain it. And that technology is used in industrial applications, as I mentioned previously. So the other part of John's business, they look after, I think it's 350 lifeboats for the RNLI.
Wow.
So what they do is when they're coming in to dry dock, the lads will go down, we're not applying heat to the lifeboat. We use they use a vacuum. It's just a load, but it's going in the opposite direction basically. So and then what they do is they'll identify defects or damage in the hull. Because I didn't know that a lot of the hulls are now carbon fibre.
Right.
Expensive boats.
Yes. Yeah.
So what they do is they'll identify the area of damage, and they'll also identify the actual extent of the damage as well. And you need to start to understand a little bit about how composite materials fail to understand that actually. So if you're looking at potential damage with the naked eye, there's a high chance that actually the damage has moved out. What it's done is the helmet's done its job
and dissipated the force.
It's dissipated the force, and it has to break. So that's why that material's brittle, so that it will break, and in breaking and failing. It dissipates the force.
Yeah, because that's the popular understanding, isn't it? That with a helmet, with a motorcycle helmet, it's one done and done, effectively one collision and done, isn't it? That's what you're told. Is that whether you drop it off of your bike, whether you tap it against the wall, whether you come off at 80 mile an hour into a tree, it's one hit, and that's what the helmet's designed for. But obviously,
that's right.
Your technology, your company can save somebody from forking out another 300 quid, 800 quid, 1,200 quid, whatever it is they're spending on their lids.
Correct.
Fantastic. Awesome. And it's not a gamble anymore, is it? It's not a case of, as you said, I've done it. You put your helmet on the wing mirror or on your handlebars, and it gets a dent and it falls, and you're like, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Well, now you can find out for sure.
Well, that's it as well. I mean, I when I dropped my NXR, there was just a tiny chip on the gel coat just at the back of the helmet, and we were sat down with my mates, and we were all looking at it, going. My mates are going, that's going to be fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Sure, that's going to be fine, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, now, knowing what I know now, you've got absolutely no way of telling if it's going to be fine. It might be. And you might save yourself from splashing out another 450 quid.
Mm-hmm.
But it might not be. I mean, I don't know if you watched Chopsy's video about...
do you know, I haven't watched it. I was just away to say Lamb Chops has done a vid with you guys, hasn't he?
Yeah, so he thought he was taking his, his carbon fiber AGV
one, yeah.
All right. So he was about to retire that one because he bought an X Spirit. And he said, right, so what I'll do is I'll come along.
He hasn't bought an X. He was giving it. He doesn't buy anything. He's the blagging king, Lamb Chops.
Well, he kept it for long enough for a freebie.
Well, he's tight. He's incredibly tight. He's not, actually. He's not tight at all. Yeah, sorry, go
on. So he took his AGV along, the one that was given to him. And he thought he was just going to drop it. We do the test, show that there was nothing wrong with the helmet, go outside, drop it, take it back in, and show where the damage was.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't really need to go through the drop test because there was some pretty serious damage to the back of the helmet.
Really?
That he had no idea about.
Wow.
No idea.
Blimey.
And he was sitting there thinking, I've never dropped this helmet. I know I've never dropped this helmet. And then he started to think about the times that he's taken that helmet overseas for bike launches. Yeah. And, it's been out of his sight at certain times as it's going through baggage or whatever. And it's probably just taken some impacts there. So, the point there is that you could be... Composite materials are really good at holding on to their secrets, right? So there could be a lot of serious damage underneath that helmet, and you just can't see it. There's no way you could see it.
Blimey.
And then there's the opposite side of the coin as well, of course, where we've had people who have clearly been trying to use their heads to stop a low side. And there's just like a big flat side on the helmet,
Yeah.
And they're sending us pictures saying, do you think you could test this? So, no, save your 40 quid, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, just a way to ask, how much is it? Is that what the service costs, the initial inspection? 40 quid?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's not a bad deal at all, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm not so sure that we'll be able to maintain that price because seven quid of that goes straight to parcel force.
Yeah.
And then the rest, then we've got to give HMRC their cut for the VAT, and so we're
you don't get left with much at all, do you, when you're running a business, for sure. Hear the violins playing, people, can you?
Yeah.
But it's true, especially these days. There's not much of a margin. Right. Yeah. How about we crack on with some questions then, Martin? Because I'm sure that will take us down. It'll tell us a bit more about the business, but also I'm sure it'll open up various different other avenues of conversation. So, as always, we'll go to the clan first. So it's patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Justin, Geek and Cycle. He says, greetings, Bruce and Martin. Hope you're both well. All good, thank you, Justin. What one misconception regarding helmets and head safety do you wish you could correct globally? Oh.
Well, that's a good one.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, so... Was that to both of us?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay.
You go first.
Shall I go first? Can I go first?
I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, so global misconceptions about helmet safety. Is that the question, basically?
Yeah.
What could we change? So I think that we've really just been talking a bit about that, actually, and it's the aspect of, well, it looks fine. I think that's the biggest single issue with motorcycle helmets. So any type of helmet, any type of protective helmet. If it looks fine, and if it's not visibly cracked or damaged, then a lot of people just think
that'll be okay.
It's good to go.
Yeah.
It's good to go. It's going to do its job. So yeah,
for me, I've just seen Justin's got a second question, but that kind of is along the lines of what I would have said. He says, as a second, what differs in helmet inspection between the UK and Europe or even the USA? Now, I was going to say the thing that gets me is that there seems to be... dog's chasing the cat, sorry. There seems to be a variety of different sort of helmet safety standards. I know that's not what your company does, the helmet inspection company. You don't rate helmets or anything like that.
No,
but I'm assuming you have some knowledge with regards to like the gold standard in the UK. There's a European one. There's an American one. There's all different standards. Surely, in my mind, surely they should all just come under one umbrella. So if they qualify for one, they qualify for them all. But it doesn't seem to be that way. It
doesn't. And even in the States, you look at SNEL and DOT, their standards are, well, the testing is quite different, actually. And it's different to ECE 2206 or 2205 or 2206, which is the latest one. And then you also mentioned the gold standard, which is presumably that you mean the
gold ACU, badge. Yeah, the ACU gold badge.
The ACU sticker. So you're not required to have that by law in the UK, but you are required to have it if you want to take your bike on a track.
On the track, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So do you know what the differences are then in all those different standards?
In short,
no.
I could become an expert in every different standard, I guess, but it's not really, that doesn't really fall into our remit because we're doing non-destructive testing. So that's a big difference here. Those standards are involved with destructive testing.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, the helmet manufacturers, they have to adhere to whichever one of those safety standards they're going for. And then you are ensuring that the helmet that they've manufactured, you're ensuring that still has the structural integrity that it had when it came out the factory, essentially.
Yeah. That's it.
Gotcha.
And the difference, the other difference, I guess, in what we do, apart from the fact that we're not destructively testing, but we're testing helmets that have been in use, they've been in service. Yeah. Okay, so this is not just batch testing a few helmets that have come off the end of a production line. This is testing helmets that have been in use under 1,001 different types of circumstances, environments, conditions, and every single one is different.
Yeah.
So we got,
What's the oldest lid someone's presented to you so far?
16 years old. 16?
Yeah. And they were still wearing it?
No, they weren't wearing it, actually. It was a TT, an Isle of Man TT replica helmet.
Wow.
I can't remember what type it was. And they'd never worn it. And they just said, well, can I wear it? Is it okay to wear? Uh-huh. So, yeah, I mean, from a structural integrity point of view, it was fine.
Wow. Well, yeah, because you get told every 5 years, don't you? That's what they say. Like, no more than 5 years, change your lid.
Yeah, it actually ranges between, I think if you buy an RI helmet, I think they provide a warranty for 7 years.
Did they? Oh, I didn't know that.
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the most common warranty period is between 3 and 5 years. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, that's what I've always been told by. I mean, the shops are going to tell you that, aren't they? Because they want your business every 3 to 5 years. But that's what I was always told.
Yeah, but it's a consumable item, and this is another good point as well, Bruce, because I think that message, when it comes from the helmet manufacturers, the helmet producers, it just seems a little bit sort of self-serving, doesn't it? But, if you get an independent body that says, no, replace it 3 to 5 years, then I think that'd be more more believable, if you like,
definitely.
or less self-serving.
Aye, absolutely.
But there is, I mean, we can come on to that later as well, Bruce, but there are really good reasons why that's actually a valid message.
Oh, okay, right. I think I've seen in one of the Instagram questions somebody asked something about that, so we'll leave it till then. If not, remind me at the end and we'll cover it.
No chance.
Next one, Ravenshead Rider. Hi guys, hope you're all keeping well. Yeah, fine, thanks, Dave. Cheers. What's the best £100 you've ever spent, and what did you buy? Oh,
best £100 I ever spent.
£100, yeah.
Well, I can't mention that one.
Great minds think alike. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Prague.
You asked me one on sport.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of anything now. Anything.
Yeah.
£100. Sheesh. I can't stop thinking about someone else now.
That's where my head is as well.
Dave, we'll come back to that one, mate. Well, it's a good question. We'll come back to it.
Hopefully not after too many of these as well.
I know, otherwise the real story might come out. Next one, Louise Worsfold. Good evening to you both. What's been the biggest rip-off product, service or merchandise you've ever bought, and why? Oh, right. Biggest rip-off. For me, it wasn't something I bought, but I was sent them to review 8 years ago, about 2016, one of the first things I ever got sent. And there were these vents, these plastic vent things that you slid inside your jacket sleeve. And it was to keep your jacket nice and cool. And it's an Australian company. And I was just like, have you been to the UK? You know, it's like I don't need to be kept cool. You need heated kit here. But it was just pointless because like I was riding a Gixxer at the time, wearing leathers, and my gloves went over my sleeve anyway. So it was just pointless. There was just no point. And even these days, I think I just don't think it's a very viable product in the slightest. I don't even know if they exist anymore. But yeah, it's just a little plastic insert that you'd put up inside your jacket, which were a massive pain in the bum to do, especially with gloves on. Just pointless.
Yeah. And then presumably when it rains, straight up. Yeah, I think
the idea is you only wear them when it's really hot. You know, on a really hot summer's day, you just whack them up inside the cuff of your jacket, and off you go. But I mean, it was just even that. Once you got gloves on, it's a pain in the bum to do to fiddle about with all this guff. So yeah, I wasn't a fan. What about you?
Does it have to be bike related?
No, anything at all. Absolutely. Anything.
Oh right, okay. A Land Rover Discovery.
For £100.
Oh, sorry. No, it was £100. This is the next one.
Oh, yeah, this is the other one.
£100.
£100 was...
The £100 one's the one where...
the best £100 you've ever spent, yeah. Right, go on. A Land Rover Discovery.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Honestly, they're just... You would think with today's manufacturing technology and for a vehicle that had been in development for so long, you know, I'd gone through so many different models, and it's just shit.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's people, a lot of your fans have got, will have a Discovery as well, and maybe I just ended up with the one that was particularly bad, but I ended up with you know, it wasn't a cheap truck, you know, It was brand new, top of the range, end of line as well. So they were chucking everything into it, like DVDs, heated steering wheel, and all of this stuff. But the damn thing was never out the garage.
Was it not? I've known a couple of other people say exactly the same thing about them. So, yeah. I
mean, fantastic ride. You know, it's great, really nice driving position, and great for taking it off road if you were so inclined, but no, that's probably the.
I bought a Tuono. I've spoken about this before. I bought the V4R Tuono back in 2015. I think it was 2014, 2015. I'd always wanted a Tuono. You know, they sound amazing. I think they look amazing. They're fantastic riding bikes. And it was an absolute pig to live with.
Really?
Yeah, when it worked, it was amazing.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, everyone says that about Italian bikes, don't they? You know, it's an Italian bike, what do you expect? And I always thought, well, that's ridiculous. Not in this day and age. Yeah, exactly. But even Ducati have picked it up, haven't they? You know, Ducati seem to be doing well.
Is that not the sort of influence of their German owners?
Could well be, yes. But it's doing the job, isn't it? So fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just an utter pig to live with, this Aprilia. I was gutted, absolutely gutted, because it was such a beautiful bike to listen to.
What sort of problems were you having with it?
After 4,000 miles, the valve clearances needed doing, because every time you rolled off the throttle, so if you came up to a junction or up to a roundabout, so you're not stopping, but you're off the gas, pulling in the clutch, rolling up, ready to go. The second you put the throttle back on, it would just die. So it would just conk out, which is not good when you're just trying to get out into a junction or out into a roundabout. Cold mornings, it didn't want to start. So, you know, for me, in the old job, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, it's not wanting to start. So this is not what I need. It's too cold for it. It just didn't feel like playing. But when it did work, it was an amazing bike. You know, I managed to do a tour around the Pyrenees on it, and it was just amazing when it worked. It was
and to keep it within 4,000 miles.
Well, that was brand new, so I ran it in, and then went straight off on this trip. And by the time I'd got back, it was coming up for that sort of 4 and a bit thousand miles. And it just kept conking out all the time. And when I spoke with the dealership, they were like, oh, it needs its valve clearances done. I was just like, what? You know,
every 4,000 miles.
I've got a Gixxer in the garage. It's done 103,000 miles, and the valve clearances, they got checked. You know, every every 16,000 miles, but it's never ever needed them doing ever. You know, they're still bang on even after what it's been through. And this thing had 4,000 miles in it, and it was way out.
Oh, Jesus!
That's that thing. Never mind.
Yeah, no, that would take the shine off of that purchase, wouldn't it? Yeah.
And then a mate of mine's just bought a brand new one last year, 2 years ago. He bought the new one, the factory, I think it was. And he's had no end of issues with it, electrical issues and all sorts. But
really, well, I mean, my bike's 2012. One of the first of the German ownership versions. And I've had to replace a wiring loom because one of the live the red wire blew.
Right.
So I had to replace it. But you know what? Other than that, and then and occasionally you can just be hammering along. Last summer, I was tanking along on the west coast somewhere, pulled in the clutch and was going down the gears to pull into a lay-by just to give myself a break. And the engine cut out before I even got anywhere near stopping, you know.
Oh, no.
It just wouldn't, it must have been an electrical fault because the engine wouldn't turn over, physically wouldn't turn over. So I left it, smoked a fag, left it, and then turned the key, started, and it went fine.
Oh, so, yeah, it was fine.
Never done anything. But yeah, you got a lot. I think to own one of these bikes, certainly of that era, I think you need to be mechanically minded and electrically minded.
Yeah, I was going to say electrically now these days for sure.
Yeah. Because they do need a little bit of attention. I think I don't know why it's
like for me. I totally accept bikes will go wrong, especially if you're using them. If you're actually out riding them,
Yeah.
a lot all year round, whatever, if you're putting the miles in, you're going to get issues with bikes. For me, it's how they're handled. And for that Aprilia, it was annoying that I was having the issues, but in my head, I was like, well, it'll just get fixed and, it's under warranty and that'll be that. But the service from the dealership, and I'll not say who it was, but there was the service from the dealership was abysmal. So it's just a whole ownership experience. I was just like, do you know what? I'm not in for this. So I ended up getting another Gixxer then, and then eventually moved to the dark side, and that was that. So anyway.
Yeah. It's funny that, isn't it? The customer experience is I just don't think that there's enough training goes on in customer experience, and it varies so much between dealer to dealer.
Yeah, it does.
And person to person, Yeah. And I hate coming away from somewhere thinking I've had shit customer service, So
totally.
It's one of the things. It's one of the things that I've been absolutely obsessive about in our business is customer service.
Well, that's the sort of thing that punters, customers won't forget that. If they go somewhere and they don't think they've had good customer service, I certainly do. If I go somewhere and I've not had customer service, then very rarely is there a second chance. I'm just like, okay, plenty of others. I'll just go somewhere else then. Where that means I've got to pay a bit more, travel a bit further. Fine, I'll just go for it.
Yeah. Vote with your feet.
Absolutely. Right, cheers for that one, Louise. Next one, Charlie Callard. Evening, all. Hope you're both well. All good, thanks, Charlie. So, as these days there are no real bad bikes, are there any real bad helmets, apart from the Chinese copies, of course? Ooh. Can you go into that?
Well, this all comes back to, certainly in the UK, you've got ECE 2205, which is a standard that helmets must meet as a minimum before they're allowed to be, before they're permitted to be sold in the UK legally. That standard has now evolved to 2206, which I think becomes it's mandatory, I think, sometime maybe even middle of this year, if not already. So the fact is that any helmet that you can buy legally in the UK has to have that standard. So the helmet has achieved a standard to a certain level. So what more would you want from a helmet other than the fact so even your 40 quid helmets that are sold in Halfords and places like that, they will all at least have met ECE 2205 safety standard.
Yeah, so, I did a review. I got given the LS2 Pioneer Evo, I think it was called. It's like, have I got it here? No, it's not here. But basically, it's an adventure style helmet, with a peak on it.
Okay.
But it's made by LS2, who are traditionally a very budget brand. And this lid you can buy for 70 quid. 70 quid. And I'm not kidding you. Okay, the lining, if you were to wear it every single day, then I would probably think after a year it's going to get a little bit tatty on the inside. I don't think the lining certainly didn't feel as plush and as durable as the likes of your shoeies, your RIs, things like that. But then this thing's 70 quid. Whereas that's, that lid there's 500 quid, 600 quid, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, gee whiz, you just get a new one every year then. 70 quid. Yeah. It's nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's probably a polycarbonate shell as well, which is a much cheaper manufacturing process. But the downside is that polycarbonate is heavier than its equivalent of a composite. So, but that's, and they're maybe not, using the finest of Chinese silk or whatever it is on the cheek pads. I know that you need that for your face. But then they'll be using budget materials, budget helmet, budget materials.
Absolutely. But it didn't feel like there was 500 quid difference, put it that way. It certainly didn't. And as you said, if it's past the safety standards, I was like, oh, blimey. Having said all of that, given the choice, I'll wear my shoey for sure, because I've literally slid off the side of a mountain in Germany at 130 mile an hour wearing a shoey, and I survived. So the helmet was split, it literally split from there right down to there, but I survived. Yeah. So for me, it's like that's the lid I'm going with. That's the brand I'm going to stick with for sure. So
absolutely. I mean, that coming off on. I mean, I think about this quite a lot because I'm not the most. Maybe not the most law-abiding citizen rider when I'm out over on the West Coast. In towns, no problem at all, right? But if you're out on those twisty roads and you've got good periphery vision and batter on, as I say. But I do think about because the only impact test these helmets, it's something like 7 meters per second,
right.
So that's it only needs to. You're
going a lot more than that, yeah.
It only needs to survive an impact of 7 meters per second, and you've got your certification. There you go. You can sell that.
Yeah.
And
but then the other side of it to look at is these lids are worn by your MotoGP, your World Supers, your British Superbike riders, and they are having big crashes wearing them.
Big spills.
And they're doing.
I think you'll. So there's a couple of differences there, right? So my observation, it's just my observation, is when you're coming off on a superbike, you're very rarely going up high, and you're
sliding.
very rarely hitting a signpost.
Granted, tree,
tractor or whatever, You're sliding, so the impact isn't. You're not getting so much of an impact. It's just that sort of friction that you need to. So there are two very, very different scenarios.
Totally. But then conversely, they're travelling at much higher speeds than the vast. Well, I would suggest any of us are, on a regular basis out on the roads. The MotoGP boys, they're going through quite a few high sides at the moment.
A few high sides. Marquez.
Jeez.
Oh my goodness.
How did he get up? How did he get up from that high side?
Oh, it was just mad.
God. Have you watched, we're getting way off topic here. Have you watched the MotoGP Unlimited? The series?
On Netflix?
Oh my, yeah.
I've watched the first episode,
I watched the first one.
No spoilers.
I binged it. I had to sit and watch the whole thing in one hit. It is awesome. It's awesome. I've got to admit, I was fairly ignorant about this new breed of riders that were coming in. I heard the names, but I hadn't really followed MotoGP much in the last couple of years. And it's just, I'm totally bitten by the bug now. It's like, oh yeah, I've got to follow it, see what's going on.
I mean, a season without MotoGP is a tough year, just to not be able to watch it on the TV. The other thing that I really miss is Isle of Man TT as well. I think it's coming back this year.
It is, I'm going. I'm there this year. I'm going over.
Are you?
Yeah. A pal of mine, Fulch, he might actually leave he has. He's left a question. He booked it for us 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago, and it's just been obviously cancelled every year since. So this is the first time we've got the chance to go. So I can't wait. Cannot wait. I
mean, my missus, when Gardener's World is on, you just don't go anywhere near her, right?
Yeah.
I'm the same with the TT. Yeah. I'm the same with the TT. Just, whatever it is, it'll wait till this is over. So
brilliant. Can't wait. It's going to be good fun.
Yeah. Big kahunas those boys have got.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I've chatted with Dom Herbertson, from Chasing the Racing.
Okay.
Have you listened to that podcast?
I do know the podcast, but don't think I've.
Yes, Chrissy Rouse and Dom Herbertson. Chrissy's he's BSB this year, and Dom, he's a road racer. He does the TT. So just chatting to both of them. Although it's riding bikes, totally different disciplines, and man, the pair of them, minerals way larger than I think I'll ever possess.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah. So I think Peter Hickman.
Yeah.
Hickey. I like to see the road guys doing the track stuff
short
as well.
Circuit stuff, yeah.
Yeah, short circuit stuff. I love to see them, how they perform differently on both of those environments.
Absolutely.
McGuinness as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hickman's a lovely guy. He kindly came on the podcast in the early days as well. That was an experience chatting to him on the podcast. Brilliant, nice guy, very nice guy.
He's a super guy. I've heard him speak at some of these events as well, and really nice manner about the guy.
And he's a big lump as well. He's about. I think he's about 6'1", 6'2". He's a tall guy.
I'm 6 foot. I'm 6 foot tall, and he's taller than me.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does. So the last TT that I was watching, what is it? The Super Sport bikes, the 600 class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's on the Triumph. I think it was the 675 Triumph, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a 675 Daytona, right? And honestly, I couldn't go out. I can do 400 miles in the Panigale in a day. No problem at all, right? Maybe couldn't do the same miles the following day, but I can do out and back 400 miles one day. Next day, I'm fine. On the Daytona, oh my goodness, I'd be crying for my mummy halfway back from a long run like that. It's just such a compact bike, it just feels like that. So how Hickey manages to do that, no idea.
Must fold himself up onto it.
I think he does, yeah.
Right, Charlie's got a second question. It says, also, which would you prefer, chocolate digestive or choc chip biscuit? Choc chip.
Choc chip.
Choc chip.
Every day.
Although I wouldn't turn my nose up, obviously, at a chocolate digestive. Got to be said.
The problem is, my missus buys these chocolate hobnobs, which are like the digestives, but they've got this. Right. And I go in. This is just my personality down to a T. But I'll go in and I'll go. I quite fancy one of them. I'll maybe take two out the packet, and then come back to my desk, and then coffee. Then I'll just go back and get the rest of the packet.
Yeah. I'm one stage ahead of you. I don't even go, I'll just take two. I'm like, well, it's open. If I open this, the packet's gone. So I may as well just take the packet.
Inhaled.
Yeah, gone. Can't do anything till I've finished it. It's just like, I must eat, gone. Right.
It's just like crack, isn't it, really? certain things are like that. So, yeah, was it chocolate chip?
Yeah, choc chip biscuit or chalky digestive.
Chocolate chip.
Yeah, that'd be top, Mike. Those cheap ones, those cheap ones you can get, the choc chip cookies. They're like something's like ATP or something for a big long packet of them. You get them in the supermarkets. I can't remember what they're called. They're really cheap, but oh man, they just don't last. Just eat them.
Well, the other problem as well is my eldest. I've got 3 teenage daughters, right?
Right.
And my eldest daughter, she's got a part-time job at Aldi.
Right.
So whenever she works with three equivalent of 3 days a week, But whenever she's on shift, I'm texting her. I'm going, right, I want these and I want that. I want, get me some gin as well.
Yeah.
Half a dozen bottles.
What's in the middle aisle?
What's in the chainsaw? I need a chainsaw as well.
That's right.
She doesn't get it. She doesn't understand the joke about the middle aisle,
Youngins these days, mate. Youngins.
Yeah. Did we answer that person's question?
I think we have. Yeah.
It was a difficult one.
Cheers for that, Charlie. Next one, Lee Vigor. How you doing, Lee? Lee was on the other week. That's Buddy the Biker Dog.
Buddy the Biker Dog,
yeah. Says, hi guys, hope you're both well. Firstly, to both, what is your favourite helmet, past or present, and do you still have it?
Oh, I know the answer to this.
Go on then.
Well, I know the answer to both parts of that.
Go on then.
It was an RI and it was remember when the Yamaha brought out the liquid cooled 250 and 350, the LC 250 and the LC 350.
It's going to be before my time. I was late to this. 2008, I joined the old biking world.
Right. Okay. So what they did, go and look them up. I mean, you must have seen the LCs though.
I probably have.
Two strokes. So they had this really distinctive paint job, right? It wasn't an RI. It was a Bell. It's a Bell helmet, right? And Bell introduced this limited run of Yamaha RD LC helmets. So they did them in the Mars bar colour, which is the black and red, and they did them in the white and blue. So it was a Bell helmet, super cool at the time. Nobody had seen anything like this. And we had my parents had a couple of motorbike shops up in Elgin and Inverness, and we were a Yamaha dealer.
Right.
And we used to get the dealers would get a number of these helmets. So
you Bagsied one.
I Bagsied one, yeah. I don't have it anymore. So it was probably as effective as putting an empty crisp packet on your head.
It doesn't matter. You look cool.
It looked cool, yeah. That's what it's all about, though, isn't it, Bruce?
I think my first lid is the one that sticks with me, just because it was my first lid. You know, it was part of me getting into biking. So, Believe it or not, my first helmet, and the showroom saw me coming a mile off, because for my first ever bike, I bought
big windows.
I bought a brand new GSXR 600. Was my first ever bike. Dionysi two-piece leathers, the squeaky city boots, the whole shebang, and a Shoei Spirit lid. But it was the Chris Vermeulen paint job. You know, the yellow one with the blue sort of ace of spades.
I don't know it.
Oh, right. Beautiful. I just... It's still...
An X-Spirit.
Yeah, you know, top of the range.
Track lid.
Yeah. For me here, that's just past this test. I wore that on my CBT and on my DAS and everything like that. Two-piece Dionysi leathers, squeaking my way as I'm walking through the car park.
Brilliant.
But yeah, that one sticks with me just because I really liked... I still think that's one of my favourite paint jobs, that yellow Chris Vermeulen style.
I'll need to look it up.
Beautiful. Yeah. Actually, the helmet I was wearing when I crashed in Germany had the big off. That was the Xperit 2, because what happened to that one? I think, the first one, I think I just got to like 5 years, and no, it wasn't even 5. It would have been 3 years. And I decided I need a new helmet, so I bought the Xperit 2 in the Chris Vermeulen paint job, and then that's the one that I split into. Yeah. Well, never mind. Yeah,
we get some cracking helmet designs coming through.
I bet.
They are predominantly off the shelf designs, but nevertheless, we're still getting some cracking looking lids through. Yeah.
I think I don't know what's happening with it, but Phil Dramfield from Paint Nation, he was going to be doing a custom lid for me, but it's not something I'd commissioned. He approached me about doing it, so we did a few vids on it last year, but I haven't heard anything from him since. So I don't know if it's still happening. I've got no idea. I don't want to push because it's I'm not paying for it or anything. So, but I don't know if it's happening or not.
So did you have a design? Did you settle on a design?
We had the initial. I did a video of it. It was just like a sort of initial design consultation phase where we just brainstormed ideas onto a bit of paper, and then from that he would go away and he would come up with the first stage conceptual design that I'm assuming I'd then sign off on, and that is what he would paint. But I've literally never heard from him since, so I don't know if it's happening. I don't know what's going on. I know he's really busy with the professional racers that he does and his job. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I'll leave it and see.
That's really expensive.
I think it can be. Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it always surprises me. Someone pays 500, 600, 700 quid for a helmet, and then first thing they do is get a different paint job put on it.
I know.
I think if you're a MotoGP or a BSB rider, then you can understand why they would do that. But for a consumable item, it's only going to last 3 to 5 years. You're doubling the cost easily.
Yeah, I've just got this thing about being like everybody else. So I will generally, if I'm buying a lid like that, I get it black. See the black one that's there?
Oh, yeah.
I'll just get a plain black one or a plain white one. Yeah. And then this one, that one I got with the TV show last year, Motorbike TV. So, it was the best. It was the best supermarket sweep I've ever done in my life, literally into Slowey, into their distribution place. And it was like, pick 3 lids. It's just like, oh my God. Right? It was awesome.
Right.
You had to pick an adventure style one, a road style one, and then we had to go for like a cafe racer style one. So so it's just like, oh, I'll have that one, I'll have that one. You felt really naughty walking out without paying for anything. It's like, someone's going to come after me.
Yeah, that's your mint law upbringing, isn't it? You wouldn't get away with
it. Right. Secondly, from Lee to Martin, in your professional opinion, what's the best helmet on the market, make and model?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. That's going to open up the gates.
God, damned if you do and damned if you don't here. That's a difficult one for me. I've got my own personal view, right? But I don't have experience of wearing a lot of different types of helmets. Yeah. I've got an opinion based on the technical data and the type of manufacturing of a number of helmets. But that's just the opinion of one guy who doesn't have the experience of, say, someone like you who's got quite a lot of experience of reviewing helmets and doing all sorts of things like that. So I would say anything that's ECE 2206. I know Lee's going to rib me for this because we're connected on LinkedIn. He's going to rib me for dodging the question. So thanks for the question, Lee. Can I be non-committal?
Go on. Yeah.
Just go for something that's ECE 2206.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, then. So that's fair enough because then it's met the basic safety standards in order to have that classification. Okay, in your own personal opinion, what do you think's the best lid? So what's your personal choice?
What would I buy?
Yeah. With your own money, what would you buy?
Yeah, I would buy a Ruroc.
Yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to ask about them. Okay. Yeah, because I had the Atlas 2.0. I got given the Atlas 2.0 and I loved it. I did a couple of vids on it and I got a lot of flack from people saying, these things aren't safe. How can you possibly, promote something like this? It's not safe. And I was just like, well, it is safe. It's just, it just didn't, at the time, it didn't have the gold badge. It didn't get the gold badge accreditation to be used on track. I wore it on the track, but can't see anything.
No,
that's an X-Lite.
Let's try that again. Yeah, sorry. But I was going to say that doesn't have the ACU sticker on it.
Right. Well, now they do, don't they? I think the latest Rurocs now actually do have them.
Actually, I don't know if they are ACU. Because
maybe it's the E whatever it is.
It's the ECE 22. Yeah. They've definitely got ECE 2206 because they were only one of at the time, one of 5 helmets, and I don't mean manufacturers. I mean out of a cast of thousands of models of helmets, there were only one of 5 that had gone out there. I know a couple of the guys. I know the head of engineering at Ruroc, and I know that they're acutely aware of perceptions that have been built up in previous models and the criticism that they've had. And they focus so hard on turning that around.
Right.
And I think that's what they've done with Atlas 4.0.
Interesting.
They've gone out, they've got that 2206 accreditation, certification, I should say, and more. If you look at the results for their certification, they've not only met it, but they've gone way above what the standard is. They've introduced impact absorption material called Rheon into the liner.
Right.
What Rheon does is it slows down the shock wave that gets transmitted through the helmet to your brain, and it's basically that we're trying to. That's what a helmet is. That's what its sole purpose is, to slow down that shock wave that goes to your brain. And if without that slowing down of the shock wave, that shock just passes straight through your skull and then hits your brain, and then that's what causes all the shearing and the damage to fatalities, basically, from impact. So going back to the guys at Ruroc, they've introduced Rheon into their helmets. They probably talk about that on their website as well. They've probably got videos on it as well. And I think that's really encouraging, because they could have probably got that certification without putting Rheon into it, into the helmet. They're a company that are just pushing they're not resting on their laurels. I think that's what I'm trying to say, Bruce.
They're very social media savvy, PR marketing. I think they're the best one by far for that,
without a doubt.
Their customer service was poor, sadly, which is what really let them down. But they launched the Atlas 2.0, but it was so popular, it caught them massively off guard, because they didn't have the supply to cope with the demand. Plus, I think it was around about the same time. It was about the same time COVID hit. Plus, the Suez Canal issue happened, which just screwed up worldwide logistics. So it was just like the worst things that could possibly happen to a startup company that's just done this massive. They're not startup; they've been around for a while, but they've just done this massive launch for the 2.0 into the bike world. Like, we're here. And I think they're the best looking lids. I think they're a great looking lid. That magnetic chin strap is awesome. I wish all lids had it. But it was the customer service that really let them down. And
Well, I hope that that's changed. I just see the hard work and I like the fact that they're very approachable as well.
Yeah. They're a British company as well, aren't they?
Based in Gloucester,
which is something they don't market that, because I think they're trying to go for the American market, but and I think that's most of their sales are in the US. It's a big market for them. So, but I think my next purchase would be a Ruroc 4.0. Certainly, they've also got a lot of the integration for the comms and it's all really just the details. They've really worked out some really fine detail there. And they're innovating in other ways as well. They've got that chain app. I don't know if you're aware of that. No.
Go and have a look at that. It's an app for the riders. Anyone could use it. You don't need to have a Ruroc intercom system. It's and it basically just works very similar to WhatsApp voice. So it uses that same sort of technology, the protocol, as WhatsApp does.
Right.
So it uses data rather than Bluetooth or mesh. So you could have someone who's 16 miles away, the other side of a hill. In your group. And you can still speak to them, providing you've got the data signal.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
and you can just add as many people.
Because I remember when they gave me the Atlas 2.0, they were making a big thing about using the shockwave integrated comms. But I didn't realise, maybe they didn't have the app at that time, because it was just a Bluetooth comms. unit, you know, and I'm not an ambassador, but I push the Cardo Pack Top Gold because I think it's the best one out there at the moment. So I was just like, well, why would you bother with the Bluetooth when you got, you know, that does a way better job than it? But that sounds pretty good, actually working off of. But then it comes down to your data, doesn't it? What if you're traveling abroad? Then your data's going to go sky high, like if you're touring and things like that. Yeah,
I mean, there's, you know, it's not flawless, is it?
No.
But I think you could still
around the UK. If you've got free data, brilliant, isn't it? That's a fantastic system to have. Yeah. Ruroc, I'm surprised you said that actually, but I'm quite chuffed you did, because it's nice to see like the new blood, the young blood, sort of coming to the fore and getting promoted like that, for sure.
Yeah, I might probably mentioned it earlier, but I just see how hard these guys work, you know, to overcome all the challenges that they have, and it's not just challenges from their supply chain, and it's challenges from a very, very dominant market.
Oh yeah. You know, oh god, yeah.
A very conservative dominant market.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Right, that was Lee. Cheers for that, Lee. Thank you, pal. Next one, Mark Fulcher. There we go. Help me, ducks. We'll keep this short and sweet this week. My question for you both: whose is the best helmet that you've ever inspected? Take that however you want to. Right, okay. Are there any helmets that have come in that have really stood out? That you can say, obviously.
That's a really, really unusual question, isn't it?
He's a very unusual guy, Finch. This is who I'm going to the TT with.
Sounds like you're going to have a laugh. Helmet inspections. Yeah, I mean, the innuendo is 100% by design, you know, but it's, you know.
Listen, if you've inspected another helmet, feel free. If it's the best one you've ever inspected, feel free.
Yeah. We've inspected some unusual customers' helmets.
Right.
The Met Police, I would say.
Oh, blimey, have you? They probably nicked it.
SEG.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. For Lara Moto, she came in, we did hers for hers. Hers was absolutely shagged. She just it's just, I mean, I talk about one of those people who goes down the roads trying to save their low side with the side of their head, you know.
Oh, was that her racing lid, was it?
Yeah, she was one of those, yeah.
She's a nice lass, Lara. Very nice.
Oh, she's wonderful, isn't she? She's she spent a bit of time with our tech director, Professor John, because she's actually an engineer as well. Yeah. And she's very interested in doing a PhD in the subjects that John teaches as well. So,
oh, excellent.
So yeah, Lara had a very interesting helmet.
Oh, I can't wait to chat to him about that. That'll be in the trailer.
Maybe that's not the answer. So obviously your mate was out looking for it.
Oh man, there's so much I could say, but I'm not gonna.
No.
Fulch, secondly, can we just ban the plastic clunk click helmets and keep on trotting with the good old D shackle? Yes, chin straps.
Oh, so this is just, you know, you were just saying how you like the magnetic
one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's your opinion on them?
I've never used one. I've always just used the D-lock.
Yeah, me too. But especially some of the cheaper lids, they have like the
like a plastic clip.
Oh yeah, like the seatbelt clunk clip type thing. In fact, some of the ones I wore in the Met had that as well.
Okay.
And it just annoyed me. Why can't they just be the good old fashioned D-ring?
D-ring. Yeah. Don't know. Don't really have an opinion on that. I think it's, you know, if it's passed the safety test, then
ultimately that's the thing, isn't it? Pardon me. If it's passed the safety tests, then it's passed the safety tests. It's obviously safe enough, but no, I prefer the magnetic chin strap on the Ruroc is awesome. Awesome.
Okay.
Just so easy. So easy.
Right.
I wish I really missed that, because my shoeies have all got the D ring.
Yeah.
I missed the magnetic chin strap.
Well, there you go. There's an excuse to go shopping again then, Bruce.
Yeah. Probably four.
Tell you what, if you send us all of your helmets, we'll fail every single one of them, so you'll have to go and
I'll have to
buy a new helmet.
Yeah. I think I bought my bridges with Ruroc, so yeah.
Oh, have you?
I've chatted about it before on here. They asked me to run a competition when they launched the Atlas 2.0, and the winner of the competition would get a free lid. So I ran it, picked a winner, and about 4 months later, he still hadn't been sent his lid, despite me chasing it up and him chasing it up. And that doesn't reflect good on me, because effectively I'm promoting this company. So I basically chased them up again, and they basically told me they've been having all these logistics issues. But then I'd also seen on other social media posts them presenting lids to lots of other people, and I was just like, well, if you've got lids to what's
they're not taking them back after the photographs were taken.
I don't know, but it was a lack of communication, with the winner. That's also what got me. It's like, okay, if you're having logistics issues, fine, but keep the customer updated. And they just weren't doing anything like that. So I basically said, look, I can't be seen to represent that. I don't want to be part of that. So
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
So that was that. So I don't think they'll be rushing to give me a new lid anytime soon.
Well, I do exactly. I mean, we talked about customer service. We touched on that earlier on. Occasionally we get let down by our courier. They're supposed to come every day and collect the return shipping orders from us. And there was one time just recently where they had come every single day, but they'd just gone to the wrong place. Mm-hmm. So they'd not collected any of our helmets, any of our customer helmets. And of course, you want to know, if you, there's a level of sort of anxiety there. People just want to get their helmet back. They've got their test result. They want to get it back into their own hands when they know it's safe. So I picked up on this, that the courier hadn't been, and so you got to put yourself into the customer's shoes, So phone the customer up, just say, look, I'm really sorry, but I don't know what's happened here. I don't know why the courier hasn't collected, but I'll do my best to try and sort this out. And I'll call you back and let you know how things are going.
Can't ask any more, can
you? You just communicate these things.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone knows that, we don't own the courier firm. So, but, communication's vital, isn't it?
Absolutely.
In any customer experience that you've got, any contact with the customer, communication's vital.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Right, next one. Debbie Clegg. How you doing, Debbie? Hi, all. Can I ask, are stickers, the decal type, on helmets actually a bad thing? Do they make any difference to the safety of the outer shell, for example?
No.
No, nothing?
No, because they've got, traditionally, the shell has got a gel coat on it. Mm-hmm. So putting the stickers on it doesn't. No. I mean, Slowey, it's a sticker.
Yeah.
And that actually goes underneath the gel coat as well.
Yeah, so it's lacquered. That gel coat thing goes over the top, doesn't it? Yeah. This is obviously something that I've thought about. All this gubbins that we put on helmets, your chin mounts, and we've got comms units and all this sort of stuff. Now, the whispers out there are that's what did the damage to Michael Schumacher when he was skiing. So he had a GoPro on his helmet, and what I've heard might not be true is that he took almost a direct hit onto the mount where the GoPro goes, and it basically punctured through the helmet and into his skull. Now, that's something that allegedly, because of that happening, you now aren't allowed to wear GoPros. You're not allowed to wear any helmet cameras on your helmet when you do a track day anymore.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Because of that potential issue. Do you have any, I mean, I appreciate that's not something that you guys would test, but do you have any knowledge about that? Like, is that...
Well, personally, I mean, I was going to try and show you there. I use a Senna 10R, which is just a wafer thin profile on the outside of the helmet, wafer thin. I personally, I don't like sticking these things onto my lid.
Yeah.
Because if they don't come off, or if they do snap off and they've got the mount still there, let's say it's on the top of your head, those are the sort of things that cause rotational damage and an impact. Perhaps if you're sliding down the road and it grips. And it grips, yeah, or it catches something, that's rotational damage. And that's life-changing injuries you get from stuff like that,
Yeah. There was something I was going to ask, and again, it's probably not something that's covered by a helmet inspection company, but again, in case you maybe have some knowledge from the physics side of it or whatever. You were talking about that Ruroc have that new liner that helps to dissipate Creon.
Yes.
Helps to dissipate the shock waves. Now, obviously, as motovloggers, inside our helmets, we have all the cabling. So I've got the cabling from my lav mic, and now I've got the cabling from the Cardo unit going into some more cabling that's secreted all around the lid that allows me to record the comms. I can record the chat on my comms now onto the GoPro. Vid coming soon. Just as you were talking, I thought, I wonder if all that cabling inside the helmet, will that have any detrimental effect to the sort of the job that the helmet's doing in dissipating forces?
I mean, I'm not a technical authority on that sort of thing, but
Dr. John to speak to for that.
JT, Professor JT, it's Marty and the Professor, as they sometimes.
Have you seen it? They're doing another one. I saw a trailer for Back to the Future 4. Whether
that's me and John that are doing it.
It's you guys, is it?
Yeah. We just have to go. We're still waiting for the DeLorean.
It looked really good. I've got to say, the trailer looked really good. We're interested to see how they do that. Yeah,
I haven't seen that. Yeah,
I only saw it the other day, and I did think to myself, "Is this an April Fool's that I've only just seen?" I don't know, but
yeah. Oh, where did you see?
It was on Instagram, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was something that cropped up on Instagram, like these real adverts that you get, the sponsored ones that crop up. Yeah, something like that.
I'm going to go have to look for that. I don't know is the answer to that. There's going to be test houses that would give you that definitive answer. What I do know, though, is through my own stupidity, is that a lot of these helmets have got the EPS liner, the expanded polystyrene foam, is white.
Yeah,
mainly. And a lot of the helmet manufacturers will put a black coating on it in the inside.
Oh.
Right? So what you use that for a visual inspection for the inside of the EPS. So if it's starting to shrink or expand or contract, what will happen is you'll start to see white speckles.
White through it, yeah.
And that's really good. Anybody can pick up their lid
and have a look.
And have a look and go, oh shit, okay, that's not looking too healthy, and maybe get a second opinion from the dealer or something like that, But I didn't know that either. Before I started going down this journey, I was clueless about a lot of these things on the helmets. And what I'd done is I taped in the cables with gaffer tape, and then I started moving my comms units between helmets as well. All that black stuff just comes clean off.
Sounds familiar. Yep.
Yeah. So I would, if you can avoid it, just don't use the tape. Because it is a line of defence that you've got there, and it's they put that black coating on for a reason.
Yeah, I was just thinking that might be something to investigate that. But then, to be honest, there's no other way of me doing it. So even if it does have a detrimental effect, I think I'd still have to do it, and I'd still have to wear the lid. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a difficult one.
And I think, well, so I don't know if anybody's going to ask the question. So I'll come out with it just now. But we get asked quite a lot: do we inspect the EPS liner? No, we don't. Remember, a composite test house. We test the composites on the shell. But so JT, the professor, he's involved with other university projects where they're looking at the EPS liner on mountain bike helmets and stuff like that. Same concept. So, oh God, I forgot where I was going with this. Yeah, so what JT is talking about is that if you the liner, if you've taken an impact on the outer shell that's sufficient to damage the liner, the EPS, it doesn't really matter about the EPS because you've already damaged the outer shell. Yeah. And it's unlikely that you'll create damage to the EPS without having created damage to the outer shell.
Got you. Yeah, I understand that. Right.
So then, looking at the inside of the helmet, you can then do your own visual inspection.
Yeah.
I took a long time to get the words out there, didn't I?
I get you, though. I understand.
Only going to get worse as well.
Jolly good. Debbie's got a second question. She says, also a random question. What was your first vehicle you rode or drove? Up to you how you classify that, as a kid or an adult. Have fun. So first vehicle you ever rode or drove, whether legally or not.
Honda XR75.
It was a bike, was it? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, at the age of 7.
Good work.
Yeah. Me and my brother used to do competition motocross when we were kids.
Did you?
Yeah, privileged upbringing, Bruce. Yeah.
Would you do that up there then? I don't remember any of that growing up.
Well, my old man had a heavy an earthworks business, so he had all of the big Caterpillar excavators, bulldozers. So he just went and built one.
Is this over on Elgin Way?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So the motocross track was still that motocross track that he cut the ground on. I think it's near South Lismurdy in Elgin. That's still there. That's been used quite a lot now. But prior to that, my old man got the use of a field, but just it couldn't be farmed. This was because the terrain was so awful, you know. And he knew the guy that had the land, and so he got the low loader along with a Caterpillar, a D6 or whatever, and started carving out the landscape. And then we had, I think the guy's name was Vic Allen, who was the Scottish motocross champion at the time,
right, come
up on his CCM to test the track out for us, to give us the
give you the thumbs up,
clear. Yeah. So it was an XR75 Honda, little scrambler.
Nice.
7 years old.
So I didn't get into bikes till much later in life. I was 32 when I started riding. So for me, it was driving. And I remember, my best mate at the time, Roy, his dad used to work in the oil, but he was out in Libya. But when he was home, he'd take us swimming. And on the way back out of Peterhead, we used to stop over at the old abandoned Second World War airfields that they had, sort of between Peterhead and Longside. And you could just drive onto them. You know, you could just drive on and do whatever you liked. Yeah. So we used to get there, and we'd sit in his lap, and he'd work the pedals, and we'd work the steering wheel. He had an old, I don't know what it was. It wasn't a Morris Minor, but it was an old car. So that's the first time I drove. And then the first car I owned was a hand-me-down from my brother. I got his clapped out old B-Reg 1 litre Escort, which did about 35 mile an hour top speed. It was absolutely shacked. So that was my first car.
But they would go anywhere, though.
Well, this one didn't. You're lucky if it went anywhere at all.
35 mile an hour out of an Escort.
It was absolutely shagged. I remember I had that car when I was with my son's mother, and after my boy was born, we drove from the house that we had in Glasgow up to my mum and dad's up in Mintlaw, and I remember near Dundee, there's quite a big steep hill that you have to go up on the motorway.
Yeah, that's right. And the
car didn't make it. Had to keep stopping. It just kept dying. So I just have to start and, feather the clutch in first gear and try and get it up a little bit more and then stop and let it cool and then go again. It was absolutely done, that car. Someone nicked it in the end.
Did you a favour?
I'm surprised they managed to get it anywhere. Must have broke down at the bottom of the road.
They're probably cursing you as well.
Yeah. Do you want it back?
Speeding off at 35 miles an hour. What a fella shite.
Nice one, David. Cheers for that question.
Yeah.
Next one, Ben Farmer. Slange to you both. Slange, Ben.
Slange.
So we all know there's a price point at which you're paying for weight loss beyond the quality of a lid by use of more exotic materials. But is there a similar point for the best structural integrity of the various types of helmet? Basically, what's the safest lid for the money at, say, 150, 350 or 550 pounds, for example? Is there a sweet spot value to safety?
Again, it would just be my opinion here. So because I'm not I'm not the composite testing expert here, but I have read a lot about this, and it just seems to all be opinions. It just doesn't seem to be any. I mean, that's fine. It's fine to have an opinion about something, but quite a lot of the articles that I see or read about this, they reckon if you're spending more than 200 quid on a helmet, all you're paying for is brand, comfort, aesthetics,
weight,
all of those. Well, no, because you still get composite helmets that are 200 quid.
I suppose, yeah. The LS2 do a carbon fibre one, don't they? And I think that's only 130 quid, 140 quid.
Doesn't even need. Well, I mean, carbon fibres. Super light, of course, and super strong, but GRP, glass reinforced plastics, a composite, fiberglass to you and me, and that's what the a lot of the premium range helmets will be made of if they're not made of carbon fiber. So you can get into a really good 200 quid helmet. Maybe it just doesn't have the paint job that you're looking for. Maybe it doesn't,
Now, I know what we're saying here about there is a safety standard that helmets must meet. So once they've hit that standard, they're safe. But there must be helmets out there who far exceed that standard, and other ones that just peak it. Yeah. But again, I suppose that doesn't come in. That doesn't come into your remit, does it? In the helmet inspection company, you're not.
No, because that's all destructive testing before you can find out.
Right. Yeah.
You can find out how the helmet performs in real life.
Gotcha.
Well, I would say real life, but I don't even think that those tests reflect real life. I mean, they're good, but yeah.
Right. So basically, Ben, that's not something that either of us have the required expertise to give you a valued answer on that. It would just be our personal opinion, really, and it's anyone can have that. Ben also says, P.S. looking forward to the clan meetup in a few weeks' time. Definitely, mate. Yes, we on my Patreon, everyone that's in it is known as the clan, and we have these meetups. So we've got one in a couple of weeks down in Devon. So looking forward to that as well, Ben. Get you a beer, pal. Next one, cool. Chris Jones, Tall Boy Rides. Evening all. Hope you're all well. All good, Chris. Cheers.
Evening, Chris.
In your opinion, which motorcycle has been the biggest letdown and just didn't live up to the hype?
I've got an answer to this one.
Go on.
It's not a modern motorcycle.
Right.
And it would have to be the Honda CB250 Super Dream.
Okay.
There was nothing super about that bike.
Nothing
Absolutely
dreamy.
nothing dreamy. No. It was. I mean, I'd go onto the website, check out the bios. Go onto our website, check out the bios, and click on my bio. And I even mention it there. There's a picture of it.
Right.
Just yeah. I mean, when we had the bike shop, massively selling. That bike sold. It was probably one of the most popular bikes to sell that year it came out. But it's just a bag of shit. It's unlike Honda to make that mistake as well.
What was it about it then that you didn't like? Everything.
Brakes, looks. Well, actually, the looks were okay. Brakes, handling, suspension. Yeah,
only a few things.
I wasn't even old enough to ride it on the road, but that's another story.
I think for me, again, we chatted about this on the podcast. It's very rare these days that you get a bad modern bike. And even this one I'm going to mention, it's not a bad bike, but it was a big letdown for me. And that is the Sinus T380, purely because I'd had such a laugh on the Terrain 125, the 125 version of it. So when they launched the 380cc version of it, I thought, oh God, this could almost be like a perfect Joe Bloggs bike. And then I got on it and it just felt like a woefully underpowered non-event. I was gutted because I was really expecting big things from it.
What was it? A Sinus, did you say?
Sinus T380. Yeah, Terrain 380.
Never even, mind you, I've had my head stuck in the sand for the last 2 years.
Sinus are a fairly young British distributor of a Chinese manufactured bike. It gets known as a variety of different names in different countries around the world, but in the UK they're known as Sinus, and it's a 125cc bike called the Terrain. Well, then they launched the 380cc version of it, and it just didn't do it.
What did you not like about it?
It was really underpowered, and I think, I mean, the 125, even as a 125cc, it's down on power compared to a lot of other 125s out there. But it was fun. Okay. You know, I just because it's underpowered, you're pinned the whole time. Yeah. Just the whole, whether you're going through a town, whether you're heading out for a dual carriageway, you're just pinned. You're just pinned, waiting for something to happen. And it was just fun. It was just, I did a road trip on it. I screamed, did like 1,000 miles on this little 125. In fact,
oh my goodness,
I took one around the UK. I did 2,500 miles on it. A couple of months. No, when was it?
Are you ever at home, Bruce?
I am nowadays. Yeah, hardly get out on the bike nowadays. But yeah, you know, I put some big miles on the 125, and then when this 380 was launched, I thought, yes, it's just going to have that little bit extra oomph, and it didn't. Yeah. it just didn't.
nothing more from still had the pins.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it went maybe 75, 80 miles an hour on the motorway if you're going downhill with a back wind, whereas the 125, I think the 125 you'd maybe get 65, possibly 70 if you were going down a vertical drop, you know what I mean? But it'd take ages to get there. Well, the jump from 125 to 380cc, it's big in terms of cc, but there was just hardly any jump at all in performance, and it just seemed to lose its character. What
was the build quality like on it?
I mean, they're cheap bikes. They are cheap bikes, so it's not fantastic, but it's not cheese. One thing with the Chinese bikes is they don't last very long if you leave them outside and you don't look after them. You know, they will rust very quickly if you don't keep on top of that. So you need to be WD-40 and you need to be ACF-50 and you need to, you know, get the thing ceramic coated if you want to go that far. You need to keep it clean. You got to keep really on top of the parts. But it's like the 125 is, what was it, $2,500, $3,000? So it's not a massive outlay, for the 125.
You can see the appeal for someone who's maybe just, commuting around a city.
Yeah.
They're not going to need to have it at 60, 70 miles an hour.
No. And I've had quite a lot of people contact me who've watched my vids on the 125 and said, I've gone and bought one and I love it. I absolutely love it. And that's great to hear, that
that's good.
They've spent their money on it and they actually really enjoy the bike. So that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Next one. Cheers for that, Chris. Next one. Pete Morris. Hello. It's said that you either have an RI head or a shoey head due to the shape of the helmet shell. Is that a load of codswallop? Also, as fitment is so important, should helmets be sold mail order? What's your take on this then? The RI and shoey debate. You mentioned
I've had RIs and I've had shoeys and
did your head fit both?
Yeah. Maybe I've just got a universal head.
Yeah. See, I remember trying RI on and trying shoey on that first ever helmet because even the guy in the shop said to me, he said, these are the two main makes and you'll either be one or the other. That was his exact words. And RI didn't fit. Shoey fit really well. So I've just been shoey ever since. Yeah,
and I think. That the whole fit thing is it's massively important. But I hear it all the time. You've either got a showy head or an RI head. How do other companies overcome that?
Well,
I don't ever hear anyone saying, "I've got an HJC head."
Well, it's interesting because I have heard that from people. I've heard that from people saying that other manufacturers' lids fit them way better than any other ones that they've tried. I actually did a vid. Right. I did a vid with Sports Bike Shop on picking my ideal helmet. So they gave me 5 of the leading adventure style helmets, 5 different brands, and I tried on them all. And even though shoey has always been my lid, shoey still fit me the best out of all of them. I tried an RI on, I tried Nex, I tried AGV, I tried Climb. I tried I tried loads of different ones. And shoey still fit me the best out of all of them. So well, that just shows you how important it is to actually go and try them on, isn't it? Yeah.
Which I guess leads into the second part of
mail order. I think if you know what helmet fits, then what's the problem with buying that lid? Like I know any shoey fits me, and I know what size of a shoey fits me.
Yeah.
So I would have no issue with me just going online and buying one mail order. Mm-hmm. But then I think you're a bit of a fool if you're going potluck and you're going, I like the look of that lid, but I've never ever tried it on. I think that's only going to end one way. That you're far better to go into a shop and get fitted for it properly.
I would agree 100%. I think, well, you mentioned Sports Bike Shop there. They do a sale or return, as I'm sure a lot of the online retailers do. And I know the guys at Sports Bike Shop, and they're really proud of the security box system that they've designed and had manufactured specially for sale or return. Yeah. So they've put in a lot of effort into getting that right. The bit that I struggle with, I think, in this online helmet retailer space is, probably, you might think that this is just being overly sensitive about things, but what happens if somebody's taken a helmet on a sale or return basis? You don't know what they've done with that helmet. And again, we've talked about the fact that if there is damage inside a helmet, it could have just been pressed upon really tightly, put inside the boot of a car or whatever with a load of bags on top of it. The Chopsy's helmet, that's probably what happened to his. And then they say, the customer then decides, well, actually, I don't like the helmet. Put it back in, seal up the box, send it back. And that helmet presumably just goes back into stock.
Somebody spends a good hard-earned money on it. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that.
I don't. That's the part that troubles me quite a bit, actually. About
well, maybe there's an inner commercially for the helmet inspection company, possibly. Yeah, possibly, Bruce. For somebody like the Sports Bike Shop to say, for that's a process that they undertake for returned helmets, is they're professionally inspected.
Yeah.
So it's another guarantee.
It would certainly be it would certainly be a USP for them, wouldn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I'll only take a 0.5% commission on that. Don't worry.
That's good. I'll see you all right when I get my new glasses.
Nice one, Pete. Good question, pal. Next one, Chris Kemp. Hi guys, hope you're both well. What's your favourite motorcycle film, and what's your favourite film bike? Favourite motorcycle film. I had this question fairly recently, and the first thing that came to mind was Easy Rider, but I haven't seen it. And I said then, I've got to go and watch it, but I've still not watched it yet.
I always find that a lot of the motorcycle films are not of a sort of genre that I can relate to. They're usually Easy Rider choppers, and so I can't. I'm a sports bike rider, and I don't get any of that stuff really. I mean, it's not to say that it's. I can't really think of any films. I can't think of one bike.
Well, there's two films that spring to mind straight away for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, TT Closer to the Edge. But one that I think probably picks that is Road. Have you seen Road, about the Dunlop dynasty?
No.
You've not seen Road? Oh.
No.
Watch Road, but watch it by yourself, because I was bawling my eyes out. Well, yeah.
Oh, really?
It's brilliant. It's all about the Dunlop family dynasty. And it came out in 2014. Yeah, it came out because I was at the premiere for it, actually, at the TT. I was over at the Isle of Man, and they did the premiere of it in the cinema there. So I've just turned up and watched it. Awesome. Really, really good. Well worth seeing. Go on then, what's your favourite film bike?
So here's where I'm going to contradict myself with choppers, right? Choppers, helmet inspection company. God, what all the innuendo is fairly flying about here. It's the chopper on Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah,
Zed's
bike.
Zed's dead. Yeah, I just thought it was a really good, of all the bikes that they could have picked, they just picked a pretty cool bike to do that on.
Most people pick like the Batman bike or the Tron bike and all this sort of stuff. I've never heard anyone say that. Zed's bike. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Right, last one of the Patreon. This is Simon Lewis. Hi, gents. Hi, Simon. So all my produce down the veg aisle has a sell-by date. What's the sell-by date on a helmet? When is it no longer safe to wear? What's the most interesting thing you've discovered from testing? Well, we kind of touched on that earlier, didn't we? About sell-bys on a helmet.
Yeah.
You said you were going to cover that later on. Well, now's as good a time as any. Is there a definitive time, or does it depend on manufacturer to manufacturer or material to material?
It's just a complete lottery, Bruce. It's
right.
So this is why. So what happens is let's assume we're talking about composite materials, okay? So what happens when you're making the makeup of that composite material is that there's glues and resins between the layers and so on.
Yeah.
And what happens is over time, gradually they become brittle and they just don't perform to the same standard. And so that's why a helmet manufacturer will say to you anything between 3 to 5 years, then it's past its service life.
Right.
So replace it. And that's fact. That's a technical fact. A helmet is a consumable item. The helmet producers they will know exactly what materials their composites are made up from, and they'll know what the service life is for those composites.
Right.
So that's why they say 3 to 5 years. Now that seems like quite a sort of vague. What is it? 3 years? Is it 4 years?
Yeah.
Is it 5 years? It's this. This is just a low risk message from a helmet producer.
Right.
They're taking the safe ground, but they're not saying that because they want you in to get a new helmet or replace a helmet every 3 to 5 years. It's a genuine message. The materials degrade over time.
Okay.
That degradation speeds up if you're out in direct sunlight a lot.
Really?
UV, ultraviolet, will break down the materials over time.
So if you use your lid every day, it could reduce the the viable working life of your lid then?
Service life, yeah.
Bloody hell. Yeah. I didn't know that. Wow. Yeah, because I used to ride every single day, but obviously not so much now. But yeah, oh God, I didn't know that. It's an excuse to buy a new lid, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But then, as I said earlier on, the environment that you expose that helmet to, whether you know it or not, put your lid up on the shelf in the garage over the winter time. Someone's come in, one of the kids has come in, knocked it down, knocked off Dad's helmet. Let's put it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
You got no idea. No idea. So yeah.
Simon's got a second question. What's the most interesting thing you've discovered from testing? Take that as you will, but
yeah. Okay. So, clear. I think the headline here is that the damage is, if there's damage that exists. I've always been surprised when I look at a helmet and it looks absolutely pristine. Put it under the test rig, and then you see it's shagged. Yeah. I think Chopsy was equally surprised by that one as well.
Yeah. Does that happen a lot? Do you get that a lot then?
Yeah, I think, surprisingly, it's quite often, yeah.
Wow. Because I'd have thought... I'd have thought, as a customer, as a punter, I would have thought you would only send your lid to be tested if you thought, oops, I've just dropped this, or I've had this a while.
We're doing blind testing, right?
Oh, right.
So we've got no information, or very rarely do we actually get any information from the customer about the circumstances of, I dropped it from 1.5 meters. It was a solid concrete surface. There was nothing in the helmet. We don't get any of that data.
You just get the lid and you do a test, and then that's fed back, and then that's passed to the punter.
That's right.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, okay. God, I didn't know that. Right.
We had one customer who I don't know what he thought. What he thought we were going to find. He knew that he had dropped his helmet, right? But there was no visible evidence of a drop to it at all. Beautiful lid, and he sent that to us. And I had a chat with him. I had some reason to call him up, and we got chatting away, and it failed. It failed. There was significant damage to it, safety critical damage to it, and he then said, "Well, actually, I dropped that helmet, but I didn't want to say anything. I've never fessed up to any of my mates or anything like that." Yeah. But yeah, so I think he was quite happy that we had found the damage, and it sort of confirmed in his own mind that sending it to us was the right thing to do.
Yeah, got you. Right, are you okay for time just now? That's 2 hours we've been on.
Can I take a comfort break?
Of course you can. Feel free. Whilst you're away, Magic. I will run through some sponsor readouts then. That's perfect timing.
Cool. Okay.
See you in a bit. Right then, folks. I should have done these earlier. However, as you know, the podcast is sponsored. I need the sponsorship. It helps pay the bills, to be blunt. Right. First off is Inov. Now, Inov also sponsor the main TeapotOne channel, the YouTube channel. Now, Inov, they don't really give me any set blurb to read out here. It's just from my experience of them. Inov produce motorcycle dash cams. So they've got the single C5 system, which is just one camera. You can either have that mounted on the bike or you can have it mounted on your helmet if you wanted. And they also do the dual camera systems, the K series. They've got the K3 and the K5. They're front and rear camera systems. The K5's flagship, it's got a 4K front camera, then the 1080 rear. K2 is 1080 front and rear. Both of the K3, and the K5, both of them have, excuse me, just dropped me my earbud. Both of them have GPS recording on it, so it'll map where you've been. They've both got an external remote on it, a wired remote, which you put somewhere up on the front of your bike. That gives you a visual representation that the system's working, the cameras are recording. And there's also a big button on there that you can use to either, take pictures as you're going. Say you see something you like the look of, you can tap the button, take a picture, or alternatively, if there's anything that happens during your ride that you think, I want to save that video, whether it's an accident or might even just be a nice bit of scenery, something that you've seen. Well, you can also push this button and it will automatically lock that segment of video. Speaking of which, you can record in 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 15-minute segments, and it just loop records all the time, like a normal standard dash cam system. It's a brilliant bit of kit, folks. It's totally autonomous. Once you fit, you totally forget about it. It switches on as soon as you turn the ignition on. It's also got a parking mode on it so that, say you park your bike up at the calf, you go off, have a cup of tea, cup of coffee. Well, whilst you're away, if anyone nudges your bike or say they reverse into it or something like that, the system automatically will kick in and it will log anything that's happened whilst the bike's been parked. So hopefully you'll capture the culprit, whoever's damaged your bike. If you get involved in any sort of incident, the first thing the insurance people will ask is there CCTV? I've had this myself a couple of times now. And if you've got the Inov fitted, you can turn around and go, yes. And often that will be the difference between a 50-50 claim and a claim 100% in your favour. Head to innov.co.uk, but I'll ask you if you can use the affiliate link, which is in the show notes. So if you're listening to the podcast, check out the show notes. If you're watching the podcast, look at the YouTube vid description. I'll leave a link there. That helps me massively because it lets Innov know that you've come from me. And if you use the code TEAPOT, then you'll get 5% off of any camera system, which they do. We're also sponsored by the Influencer Store. I'll be with you in 2 ticks. Sorry about that, Martin. We're also sponsored by the Influencer Store, and the Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check them out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop them an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. And the Influencer Store are the people who handle all my merch over at TeapotOne. So, right, Martin, you're back. Right,
I am.
Let's pop over to, let me move this out the way. If we head over now to Instagram, so that's just instagram.com, well, at TeapotOne Insta is my tag. First one we got here, Paul Hughes 4108. Other than an extra dose of road rash and the look of distaste from sports bikes, full-faced helmet wearers, what, if any, are the danger or disadvantages of a modular helmet in a collision? Also, why do people stop at the top of escalators? Well, the first part of this, we chatted about this, didn't we? Is that something that you sort of cater
again,
for?
it's just a personal opinion that I've got. You've got the more apertures and cuts and vents and things like that you've got in a shell, the less structural strength it's got.
Okay.
And so a modular helmet, by that
Definition.
Can't speak now. I've had definition. I've had you're a bad influence there, Bruce. I've had too many brew dogs. Yes, by that definition, it stands to reason that a modular helmet is less structural or not as structurally sound as a full face helmet.
But as you said, they've all passed that minimum safety standard, haven't they? So But it isn't as strong as a full face lid.
Correct. And the same goes for the helmets with an integral visor.
Yeah.
It's not as structurally safe. I
suppose because there's a void at the front, isn't there? Well, to an extent. Yeah. Okay. His second part of his question: why do people stop at the top of escalators?
Why do people stop at the top of escalators?
Have you tried walking?
I don't know.
Have you tried walking straight off an escalator at the top? Airports, right? Yeah.
It's like this mass queue. People go off the end of an escalator, right, and they're going, "Oh, I wonder where I'm supposed to go now," and just wherever it is,
get out of the way.
Supposed to get going that way. Yeah.
And I was thinking, I took it totally the wrong way. I was thinking, you're still on the escalator, but you've reached the top and you're just waiting to step off. A lot of people just stop, don't they? Because if you don't, you can almost like run off the end of it, can't you?
Yeah. No, who's that? That's that
Paul
question?
Hughes, 4108.
Paul Hughes, 4108. That's an excellent question.
Next one. Oh, it's not a question, but it's just Viscount Pasty saying, "I'll be listening, Bruce." Cheers, Danny. I was on a trip around Wales with Danny actually at the weekend there. We camped Saturday night and the tents froze.
Oh my goodness! Right.
Yeah. Right. Next one. Alan_B_1. It takes me a lot of effort to get my other half to inspect my helmet. Have you got any tips on how I can encourage her to pay it more attention?
No, but when you find the answer, can you let me know as well? Yeah,
yeah, let us all know. Bruce,
don't marry her.
Oh, jeez, he said that, not me. Bruce, any updates on your custom designed helmet? It seems like ages since you last mentioned it. Well, actually, we've chatted about that.
Yeah,
I've got no updates. I'm not sure. I've got no idea if it's still happening. I don't know. I don't feel like it's my place to chase up Phil because he's doing it out of the kindness of his heart. So he's got a business to run, and I'll just wait my time. Just wait. Next one, Airhead Rick. I'd like to get Martin's opinion on the useful life of helmets. Most manufacturers suggest, we've covered this, haven't we? Most manufacturers suggest replacement every 5 years. Is there any science behind this, or is it pure marketing? This has implications for every rider, but for areas where season is only 6 months, you get limited life from an expensive lid. Thanks, Bruce, and keep up the good work with the channel and podcast. Yeah, we've chatted about that, haven't we? It's
Yep.
It's to do with the actual. The material,
the manufacturing of the materials. Yeah. It's the materials that are used. It
just breaks down over time anyway. So that's hence why they say every 3 to 5 years. So
I mean, we can. That's why we get people sending us their favourite lids. They might have a helmet that's got a particular colour scheme on it that's discontinued, and they want to keep using it. So they said they reckon that 40 quid's not going to be much.
2 seconds. I dropped one of my earpods on the floor, and the dog's just come in.
Swallowed.
She was.
You're going to have to recover that out in the garden tomorrow, weren't you?
Tomorrow, yeah, in a bag, yeah. I'll whack that back in. But then again, I suppose that's the beauty of the service that you provide, really, isn't it? If you've just spent 350 quid on a lid and it's now, say, 3 years old, well, for the sake of £40, you can send that to Martin to helmet inspection, and they can, test it out and say, okay, that's still fine. So you get another year out of it, another 2 years, whatever. It's up to you.
Yeah. That's the other thing as well, Bruce. I think that the cost of helmets, if somebody's dropped a helmet and it's an expensive helmet, well, let's face it, a lot of the helmets that people are running around in are expensive helmets, I think a lot of people are just thinking, well, I'll just it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, rather than having to go through the expense again. Maybe things are tight budget wise or whatever. You know, and you go, I'll just chance it. You know. So what we're doing is we're giving people an opportunity just to go, well, here's the information that you need to make your own judgment call, but at least you know.
Yeah. You're arming people with the required information, aren't you? So they can make an educated decision rather than gambling. Ultimately, which is what we do, isn't it? As you said, when you drop the lid, you take the gamble. It'll be fine. Cheers for that, Airhead Rick. Next one, Lord_Bilious. What does Martin think of the official Sharp testing results? Do they test real-world impacts or just what they think impacts are likely to be?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Wes.
And I'm Beth.
And we're the hosts of the Where Our Minds Wander podcast.
We love spooky places,
morbid tales,
and unsolved mysteries. Throw in some weird science, cryptids,
and ancient legends,
and you have entered Where Our Minds Wander.
Join us each week as we delve into fascinating true stories from the supernatural
to the naturally weird. Get your favorite beverage, settle into your comfy chair, and journey with us to Where Our Minds Wander.
Listen and subscribe to Where Our Minds Wander on all your favorite podcast listening platforms.
That's a difficult one because I've got a lot of respect and admiration for what Sharp do. I think that they've given us as a consumer a lot of information and a lot more confidence in the purchases that we make as bikers. And, can't take that away from them. It's a brilliant service and it's free. You know, it's government funded service, fully independent. They do have a number of different tests, and they do test on different scenarios, oblique testing and other forms of impact testing. I think, to be fair to Sharp, it's going to be difficult for them to replicate every possible type of test. Yeah. But, when have you ever seen... Well, look at Marquez for a start. When have you ever seen him? Well, actually, all the time.
Yeah, he does do it quite frequently, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think that's a really difficult one. No, sorry.
But I think these safety tests, they just you have to have a base standard, don't you, across the board? Yeah. You have to, because otherwise you would get some of this cheap blooming like Indian and Chinese manufactured rubbish that seems to make its way into some of the bike shows. Well, London shows a prime example. There was a load of stuff there that got confiscated, didn't it? Because it just didn't meet any of the safety standards. Yeah,
that was the local authorities' trading standards went in there and shut down a few stands, didn't they?
Which is kind of, that's disgusting that at a high level show like that wasn't taken into account when they, when they selected vendors to have there. Surely I would have thought that would be one of the first requirements is this kit fit for purpose? But obviously they weren't checking that at the time. But the fact that we have these, the Sharp test, and you've got the EC22,
ECE 2206.
That one. So we've got this base. It just rolls off the tongue. It does, doesn't it? We've got this base level of safety standard, which we know that if a helmet has that accreditation on it, we know it's reached that bare minimum standard. And as we said, some helmets will be far exceeding that. But even the most basic ones have passed that level. And I think that is very important. That's hugely important for us as a consumer, isn't it? Because at least you're buying a product which does the job. It's going to do the job.
Yeah. And standards evolve as well, don't they? So I mentioned before we're getting to ECE 2206 that's come out now.
Oh, my favourite.
Oh, tell you, Bruce, you probably pay for a Netflix subscription. I don't. I just download all these standards and
sit and read them.
Read them to my kids. It's bedtime stories.
Yeah. Good question, though, Lord Bilius. Cheers for that.
Yeah.
Next one, Carpin Matt. This looks like it will be yet another fantastic episode. Cheers, Matt. My question to you both is, there are 16 million kangaroos. I see where this is going. 16 million kangaroos in Australia, and there are 3.4 million people in Uruguay. Right, concentrate, Martin. This means that if the kangaroos decide to invade, then every person will need to face 4.7 kangaroos. Matt's done some research here. What advice would you give them to try and help beat the evil kangaroos? Wow.
You've got some tough questions coming out from your followers, haven't you?
I think Matt's been drinking more than Brewdog. That's a good question. Okay.
So just read the last part to me again. What would you do to?
What advice would you give them to try and help beat the evil kangaroos? So every single person in Uruguay has to face 4.7 kangaroos if the Aussie kangaroos decide to invade Uruguay.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice?
Just eat them.
What, 4.7?
Well, stick them in the freezer.
Now, I've been to Oz, and not all kangaroos are these great, big, massive steroid freaks that you see occasionally. Some are bloody massive, but not all of them are. So I would say try and pick off the small ones first. And then for the big ones...
Was that your philosophy when you were a copper?
No, I used to go for the big ones first.
All right, okay.
Take the big ones out. God, yeah.
Jeez. I mean, I'm lost for words. I tell you what, if the kangaroos come over here, I'd be stuffed.
What?
I wouldn't know what to do.
They'd freeze.
Well, that's true, yeah.
It would be fine. The kangaroos have only got wee arms. It's the feet you need to worry about, isn't it? It's the legs.
Yeah. So, partly so, yeah.
So, like, no, it wouldn't help if you got up close and personal with a kangaroo, would it? Because they could still kick you. I think if they kick you, you're buggered.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I think if they were to get you into a bit of a wrestle lock as well, I think you wouldn't come out of that. You wouldn't come out of that too good, would you?
They've only got wee arms, so what if you could come to some sort of agreement whereby you could arm wrestle? You could decide the fate of Uruguay on the arm wrestling. In which case, just get your monster to arm wrestle all the kangaroos.
Or I could just shoot all the fuckers.
Or just shoot them. We didn't think about this, did we?
Sometimes
shoot the kangaroos.
It's just the simplest. Just shoot them. Yeah.
Yeah, don't arm wrestle them. Don't get into some
No, don't
MMA
arm wrestle them. Just shoot them.
Shoot them.
And then stick them in the freezer. That's Christmas dinner sorted out for the next
a long time.
10 years.
Right, last question. Bike Throttle. Ask him if he's seen a vase and what he thinks of them. What's a vase?
Oh, I know what a vase is. Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, it's a modular helmet, right? But it's not the sort of modular flip up. It's where the back opens up like that.
Oh, I've seen them. Yeah, you put it on and it comes over the top.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Over the back, right? It's supposed to be. I mean, I don't. I've never seen. I've seen pictures of them, but I've never seen one come through the lab.
Yeah. I don't know anyone that's ever worn one, to my knowledge, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. What do we think about them? Again, it comes down to personal opinion, doesn't it?
Load of bollocks.
Would I buy one? Would I even if I was given one for free, would I wear it?
No.
I just don't think so, no.
I mean, I kind of think, in my head, I'm thinking, no, that's just a very close-minded approach. Of course, in the interest of consumer research, of course you would wear it. Of course you'd try it. I don't know if I would. I just think I don't know anyone that would ever wear one, and I certainly, just looking at them, I'm like, that's not a lid that I would wear. So what's the point in testing it? But I suppose somebody has to test it, don't they?
So who was the question from?
Bike Throttle.
Bike Throttle. So I'm guessing Bike Throttle is got his or her eye on one.
No, Sean is an ex motorcycle journalist. In fact, he still is. I think. Yeah, I think he still is. Yeah, he's been on the podcast, but yeah.
Okay.
Seen a Voz. I didn't remember that they were called Voz, Sean, but as soon as Martin started talking about it, I was like, oh, I remember I've seen some pictures and vids of these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, dude. That is us. We are through all the questions. It's not bad, is it? Nearly 2.5 hours.
Cheapers, yeah. I tell you what, that's time's flown by. Maybe it's the brew dogs.
It's nuts, isn't it? It does fly by.
I've only had 3.
I'm the same. Yeah, I'm on my third as well.
Wow. Yeah, because when I was looking at the times that the durations that you've done for these podcasts in the past, I thought, God, we'll be getting like 15 minutes into this podcast, and I'll have nothing to say.
Everyone's the same. Everyone goes to me, how long do these things go on for? And I'm like, well, they range from an hour to like 3 hours plus. And they're like, what the heck do you talk about for an hour? And I'm like, well, generally speaking, they go at least 2 hours normally, if not more. Yeah. And I was like, you'd be surprised. It just, especially with the questions. The questions, I think, are what makes this podcast is the questions that are posed by people.
Caught me out to a few of those questions, I have to say. Yeah, the kangaroo one, definitely.
I'm still the whole podcast, I've been thinking about that question about the best £100 that I spent.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a legal answer that I can say.
No. Well, yeah.
We're in the same boat here. Yeah, best not talk about that. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, I'm right. Anything I say is just going to not be the right thing to say there.
Right, I tell you what, I have dropped the ball massively this week in terms of sponsor readouts because I've still got 2 to give. Do you mind if I just do a quick 2 sponsor readouts and
batter on.
Then we'll sum up. Right, folks, we are also sponsored by Ultimate Add-ons. Ultimate Add-ons are the premium manufacturer of mobile phone and action camera mounting solutions for motorcycles. With a kit for any bike and a proven track record of creating products that keep your devices safe, secure, and easily accessible, the Ultimate Add-ons product range is ideal for any rider, from the commuter to the round-the-world adventurer. Why shell out on an expensive GPS system when you could use your smartphone, keeping it charged and within reach to take photos of your travels at the same time? Ultimate Add-ons waterproof, shockproof and dustproof tough cases are available for all flagship smartphone models and are designed by riders for riders. Find out why Ride Magazine gives Ultimate Add-ons their coveted Best Buy certification. Keep riding this winter with Ultimate Add-ons. It's all about the journey. If you watch any of my bike reviews, folks, you'll see that I use Ultimate Add-ons all the time. I use the Helix strap mount. It's in the bicycle section. I use that to attach the case to any bike at all that I jump on. Great bits of kit. Head to ultimateaddons.com, and if you use the code TeapotOne10, you'll get 10% off any of their range. The last one is just a massive shout out to everybody over in the clan on Patreon. I make no bones about this. I could not do this full time without the support of everybody over there in the clan. So a huge thank you comes from me, not only for your support there, but also for the questions that you leave all the time for the podcast. It really does make the podcast the success it is. So a huge thank you from me. If you're interested in joining the clan, that is, head to patreon.com/TeapotOne. Right, that is me done, Martin. Sorry, I should have covered that much earlier on in the podcast, but we got lost in questions.
I have got my £100.
Go on.
Best Buy.
Right, go
Best
on.
Buy. £100 Best Buy, right? A Kriega R3.
Ooh, what, the rucksack?
It's not the rucksack, it's the bum bag.
R3. I'm thinking of the R30. Right. Okay. I was thinking that's more than 100 quid.
No, the R. I think it's called the R3.
You're a proper sports bike nut, aren't you?
That's it. Yeah. I mean, it's pack of fags and a lighter and a credit card for the.
That's it. Job
for
done.
The fuel bill. Yeah. In fact, I don't even do that now. I've got my Apple Watch. I don't even need to go in for anything else now. Just double click there and pay for the fuel.
Yeah, until you get to that time when it goes, this isn't working on this occasion. You need to use your card. Have you had that? It's like every 10 transactions or something. Or
never
have you not?
Never.
Scottish. It's obviously not buying enough rounds, people. That's what it is. Not buying enough brews.
not enough transactions.
Yeah. I've had that. I think it's like every 20 transactions or something, or maybe it's just random.
I've had this for 3 years now. I don't even think I've had 20 transactions go through it.
Shows how many times he gets his wallet out, doesn't it?
Loads. Cool. Yeah, so it's Kriega R3 because it's completely waterproof.
Yeah.
And then you just shove it around your back, and brilliant bit of kit.
Do you know, I had one. I got Kriega came on board for my. I'll mention it now since we're nearly done for the round the world trip. They supplied like the luggage, and they.
Did you go around the world?
I did. I don't like to chat about it, and so they gave me one for that, but I had so much luggage, I just didn't need it. I think I strapped it around some of the bags and still never used it. So, yeah.
No, it's a kind of day trip type. If you're in a one-piece leather, in the one-piece leathers, and you're heading out for a day trip, and you don't need to take any luggage with you. I put I've got an R20 as well, and I've got that strapped up to the back of the Panigale.
Yeah. See, I always wear a rucksack. I've got the R. Is it the 35?
Mm.
What one is that? It's the big one anyway. The R30. Yeah, I always wear the R30. So, that I basically get everything I need in that most of the time, unless I'm away on a trip or something.
Yeah.
Well, I can't think of anything. I can, but I'm not willing to talk about it on camera. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm glad I saved the day with that one, Bruce? Yeah. You pulled that one out the bag. Go.
Jesus. Yeah. We were both heading off in completely the wrong direction there.
Oh yeah. Can't stop thinking about it.
Such an innocent question.
No, it wasn't innocent. It wasn't innocent in the slightest. They knew exactly where this was going. Martin, awesome, man. Thank you very much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bruce.
Before we end the podcast, is there any shout outs you want to give, any plugs you want to give? Feel free. Stage is yours.
Oh, I just think, I've mentioned Professor John Tyrer a couple of times in the past, and he's our technical director, JT, as I call him. Wonderful, wonderful guy. We're going to be at Bennett's, the British Superbikes at Silverstone. Mm-hmm. On between the 15th and the 17th of April, so not far to go now. And we're in Garage 1 in Pit Lane. This is a shit job, Bruce, honestly.
Is this the one you tried to get me to do?
Pit Lane, yeah. So, I mean, and you said no as well.
And I'm away.
You made up some excuse about not being able to go. And I've got my relatives coming round.
Got to do my hair.
Got to do my hair, yeah. Trim my beard.
That's it.
So so going back to JT, phenomenal guy. He's got about 3,000 citations to his name. That's academic citations, Bruce. Yeah. Just an amazing character. So we'll be at Silverstone. We'll be at BSB. If you're coming along to British Superbikes first round, then come and say hello and tap us up, and you'll be able to meet JT and myself there.
Awesome. Right, folks, you heard that. If you're heading to Silverstone, give them a shout there. I will leave all the links down below for the helmet inspection website, for all the social media. So if you're listening to the podcast, check out show notes. If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, check out the vid description. It'll all be there. So if you fancy getting any of your lids, if you fancy getting your helmet inspected, drop Martin a line. Right, mate. Thank you very much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And it's been great to find out a little bit more about you. And hopefully we'll be able to do a wee bit more in the future as well.
Loved it, Bruce. Thanks very much.
Oh, dude, you look after yourself, mate. All right.
Take care.
Right, folks. Keep on doing your thing. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Remember, getting out there whenever you can. Look after those that you love. But most importantly, live your life. Woo-ha!